Good evening. The opinions and statements voiced by our guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of this network. Enjoy the shows.
We've been expecting you.
Monday, time for our maven of the supernatural, Denise Pridemore. This is the Paranormal Pride. Join to listen and chat live on WBHM-DB.com or Spreaker app. Search WBHM-DB every Monday at 7 p.m. Central for your supernatural paranormal fix. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride, where the show is about the guest and the listener.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Howdy-ho, everyone. Welcome to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Bart Towler. And I know that we've probably met somewhere, someplace, probably at the Kansas City Paranormal Conference at some point in time, but I don't remember it. So I saw him on a friend of mine's YouTube video, or not YouTube, Facebook video, and you guys all know Charlie Fort, and Charlie is a good friend of mine. And when I saw Bart, I told Ron right away, I said, he is going to be a great guy to have on my show, because of the fact that everybody wants to hear about equipment and how it works and all that. And I heard him talk about the Ovilus, and I sat there and I was in heaven, because I was hearing the insides of this piece of equipment. And that's the reason why I asked you to be on my show, was that sounded interesting. But then the other things that you were talking to Charlie about sounded like a lot of fun. But I will say I am very sorry that I never got to hear you when you were on Chuck Banks' network. So I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
But I am so glad you're here tonight. Bart Towler is going to tell us all about things that we are all going to be excited to learn. So welcome, everybody. I hope you guys have got your questions ready and all that stuff, because I got a lot. So
Well, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, you said something in a comment to me that you got involved in the paranormal accidentally.
Yeah,
How did that happen?
It was by accident. One of my product reps. Well, she's no longer my product rep. She's actually part of our project, the EGT Project, and that was Carrie Falconer. But she had a phone call from someone that had a TV show, and they needed microphones for the cameras. And so she called me and said, hey, this guy needs these microphones, and you're not going to believe this, but he's part of a ghost hunting show. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever, And I didn't think anything of it. The guy called me up. He said, well, I need seven of these microphones. And I told him the price on them. He says, okay, send me over the invoice. And I thought, well, what the heck? And I sent the invoice, not expecting him to actually pay for these microphones, because they were about $1,000 a piece. And sure enough, as we're talking, he pays the invoice. And,
oh, wow.
I was like, holy crap. That surprised me. So I went ahead and got the microphones sent out to him, and they were seen on the show, because I actually went ahead and my company name engraved on the microphones before we shipped them. And all of a sudden, I started getting phone calls. Everybody's wanting to order these microphones, and And that's how we got into it. We realized that, did some more research, and Carrie had found out that, a lot of the equipment that people are using in the paranormal field is either junk and has no real no use, in the paranormal field. It just really surprised me, and I got to looking at like the little Mel meters and stuff, and come to find out that when the maker of the Mel meter started out in the business making those little dog whistles, little push button dog whistles that and they were selling them on TV, and that's how the Mel meter got started. And I was like, oh wow, God, that's like $3 worth of parts in a plastic case. And then we started going into other equipment, and I was just surprised in seeing how people were doing investigations. There wasn't real audio evidence. Everybody's just using a digital recorder instead of setting up a static microphones and actually recording like you would in a recording studio.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's how it all got started.
Can I ask you the name of the show that your equipment was on?
That one I really won't say, but it is a nationally syndicated show.
Is it still on TV today?
It is still on TV today, and that's kind of interesting how it got started. But then also I have clients that I never knew that I mixed sound for that are into the paranormal, and we're not attributing this whole thing to this one show, but some of our artists that we send microphones out to, our microphones have our logo, emblazoned on the thing, so we, people watching the videos. That's how we're getting a lot of our clients also.
Wow, like I said, I'd love to see some of your equipment and how you use it in an investigation, because was it just recently you became part of Paranormal Research Institute with Dan Williams and all those guys?
I've actually been with the PRI for, I think, about a year and a half now.
Okay.
But, Dan and I, we've known each other since the first Paracon that my company sponsored was 4 years ago. And that's how I met Dan.
Was that the one that was in Sugar Creek?
No, the first one that I did with them was at that Masonic Lodge over on Holmes Road. So that was 3 years ago?
Yeah, that was 3 years ago.
Yeah,
that was 4. Because we went to the first one they did.
Okay.
And we haven't gone back since, because while we were there, we showed up like 11 o'clock in the morning. We were there until they kicked us out for the investigation. And when we left, we got home, and I had bruising all over my arms.
I'll be darned.
And we did not know why, but there was this group of people that came in. I think it was a band, but when they came in, the air was sucked out of the room. I mean, you could feel it. And so we may have seen you there, but we've been part of. I mean, we went out to Utica with David Glidden and John Long, and hung out with them and investigated the tavern.
Oh wow! See, I don't go out on many investigations here locally. I get clients that call me up and ask me to come out and actually, record audio. And so, I'm in the equipment rental business and the sale business. Mm-hmm. And then I'm a live audio engineer for national regional concert artists. So usually when people call me, they're hiring me to come out and bring my equipment and stuff like that. And the same goes, PRI and maybe 1 or 2 select groups, if I have the time, I'll come out on my own dime and do it. But other times I get groups call me and it's like, oh, hey, can you come out here to where we're at and record for us? And I've been all over the place, doing that.
So you go out and you take out your equipment and you basically record their assume their entire thing and look for anomalies in the speech.
Yeah, well, normally what I do is I'll record the whole session, and that's miking up, a lot of times every room, and that can range from anywhere from 4 microphones all the way up to 100, 130, 140 microphones at a time.
Wow.
And I have the capabilities to do that. And, we'll record the whole session, the whole time they're there. And then after we're said and done, I just hand them either the flash drive with the original recording, or I'll hand them a external hard drive. And then they can go ahead and get the audio from there. But then I also get requests from paranormal groups to clean up their audio, and that's a service that as an audio engineer I charge for.
Oh yeah.
And so we do different things like that. We also teach audio classes too. It's something Carrie and I started doing. We started teaching audio classes to paranormal groups, how to properly record out in the field and stuff like that, and the best way to clean up your audio without changing the data that you've recorded. And so yeah, it's a pretty interesting and fun job dealing with the paranormal groups.
Is there any good programs to have on your computer for audio to review it, to record it, to whatever we're going to do with it? So
yeah, Audacity is a great program. It is a free program, but Audacity, the contributors, because I contribute to some of the plugins for Audacity. Audacity has contributors that are world-renowned audio engineers, like Alan Parsons from the Alan Parsons Project. He's contributed to that in some ways, or form. Then there's Robert Scoville. He was the audio engineer for Tom Petty. He's made contributions in the past, but everybody that contributes to that is in the audio industry some way somehow. And so in Audacity, we tell people, when you record everything and save your project as a WAV file instead of an MP3, because WAV file is the most uncompressed audio format there is. It's the original audio format when computers started, and that way you get every detail. And then when we recommend that you don't use any of the filters that come with Audacity. Just record everything what we call flat, no enhancements or anything like that. And that way it doesn't change any of the actual data in there, because each little movement you make on Audacity, let's say you want to put in, you want to boost the sound on it, it actually writes a little tag in the file saying this is what was done. And when it comes to actual peer review and stuff like that, we look at those meta tags, and if there's any changes in it, we throw it out the door.
Right, because you don't know. I mean, it's just like when you look at a picture file and you can tell that it's been edited.
Mm-hmm. And there are programs that will tell you what in video or even photos, It will tell you what's been changed in there, what camera was used, what settings it was done, and this is what happens on Audacity. So with Audacity, what we do is when we record that, I use an analog 31 channel stereo mixer, which you can pick these things up nowadays for about $150 for a decent one. The ones I use are right at about $1,000 to $3,000. And but what we do is we take out certain frequencies from the low end and the high end, and we found that most of the EVPs fall within the mid-range frequencies. And if you boost those up on an analog mixer and then record again or save that recording into a separate WAV file, it will not show up on the metadata. Any of those changes that you make on that mixer will not, or that equalizer will not show up in the metadata.
Right.
So you've effectively cleaned it up and not changed your data image. So you just have all the enhancements of boosting the audio or taking out certain frequencies.
Well, I can see where that would be very helpful to know which frequencies to take out in advance.
Well,
but without the mixer, you can't do that.
Well, actually, you can.
You can? How?
Yes. So what we do is when I re-record, I have two computers set up, and I take my audio output of my listening system, and I run that into my equalizer, and then I run out the equalizer into the microphone section. And this is a simple way to do it. The way I do it is a lot more complex because there's an audio mixer in between it, and I'm just a gearhead. But the simple way is going out of the main player computer into the equalizer, and then into the recording computer. And once you do that, you're good to go. And there's you can pick up if you want to put a mixer in the chain and stuff like that. There are mixers that I sell that are affordable within about just under $200 that will do all that stuff for you. You can just daisy chain over to the next computer. It will help you do that.
Yeah, I've daisy chained stuff before and gotten a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Well, this here is actually pretty easy. You can do it through a. Just a moment here. Excuse me. Okay. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, I've got a dog running around here that wants attention for some reason.
I understand. We have 5 cats, a grandson, and a daughter and a baby daddy that wants our attention all the time too. So
oh my God,
we understand.
Yeah, this is the evil one known as Joey, or AKA Josephine. Good Lord, she's a handful. But yeah, we when it comes to recording the audio stuff, our classes, when we do a class, it usually lasts about 5 hours. And so we go from how to set up your gear, how to do all your tech work in the field in case something breaks down, recording processes, evidence review, or actually, I'm sorry, I hate to call it evidence because it's not real evidence. It's data. And, because data, at PRI, we actually share all of our information with other groups.
Right. And you know what? We're going to get into this in a little bit because we've got to go on our first break. And this time goes really fast, it seems like. So everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Bart Towler in just a few minutes.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama. Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk only on Paranormal Experience Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
We are confident that none of our hosts are possessed. Being repossessed a few times, that might be a different story. You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and tonight my guest is Bart Towler, and we're talking technical stuff tonight, so hopefully you guys have lots of questions, or at least get the questions that you had in your head answered. So you were talking about PRI and how PRI shares their data with everyone. And what some people don't know, I mean, I've had Dan Williams on my show many times and the PRI team, and they do a thing called cartography where they make sure that all their data is logged by time, location, person, things like that. So there's a whole lot of data retrieval going on.
Yes, there is a lot of data retrieval.
And so can you go ahead and explain your role, if you can?
Okay. So my role is pretty simple. I go in, I set up the audio equipment, and then I'll try and record about an hour before the investigation starts, and that's recording all the rooms at one time. And then as we go on to investigating, I try to record each room as the investigators go in. I'm also able to, with several of my audio consoles, I can actually do multi-tracking. So each room has its own recording, and so I can let that run. So I can run basically all the audio incoming, and then I can go back and review each one of those rooms one at a time. And that's how we're set up. And then go ahead. Hello.
Hello, I'm here.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds like we're having a lot of static. Are you outside?
No, I'm inside, actually. I'm sitting right here at the computer.
So I wonder what's going on. So,
I know. Probably ghosts.
That we have that kind of action sometimes, so it's kind of weird because we were fine, and then we came back, we started having static. So, and I could hear the dog running, so that's...
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I apologize for that. It was with me rushing around today, I would have actually been in a nice little area away from everybody and not had to just go straight to the computer.
Well, maybe it is the computer. Is the fan on your computer?
No,
Okay.
I have it on this computer, so it's all water cooled.
Okay, well, maybe it'll go away now that we've talked about it.
Yeah, probably.
So, I know that PRI, they just do a really great job of data. So, have you been involved with Mike Nichols and his random event generator?
Yes, we have. Or I have. We did an investigation one night out at the Miller Mausoleum, where I'm the events director at, and we set up 2 tents. Mike and I sat out in the tent and out in the cold with a little heater going on, and we recorded the sessions while the rest of the team was inside doing their investigations. And we were noticing with the random number generator, each time that Mike got a hit on it, it coincided with something in the audio too, which was really cool how that happened. And we've worked on this several other times. We recently just did a investigation at, the McIntyre Mansion, where Mike was sitting at home running the random number generator, and he was doing it remotely. And even at remotely, it looked like some of the RNG hits were coinciding with what was going on at the mansion while we were there. So it's really neat. And my understanding is, Mike is getting ready to have that his information and all of his research published here in several journals, which we're looking forward to seeing.
Right. I knew that. I've known Mike for a while.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like I've known him forever. That one Thanksgiving they came to town. Mm-hmm. We met them out at a graveyard here over in Paola when they were going down to the Garnett house. Mm-hmm. So, and they did apologize to me for last week. You guys all getting together and forgetting about us.
Oh shoot, yes. I didn't know anything about that until we were sitting there, and also like Denise just sent us a message, and everything. I was like, oh crud, we're in trouble.
No, it wasn't trouble. It was like they know. Okay, everybody knows this about us. If you get close to town, mm-hmm. and we can come, we will.
Yeah.
But it was one of those times I was on a limited diet because of surgery. I couldn't. Everything I eat causes me too much acid, and I wasn't on any medication for my surgery on Monday. Oh. So it's like it's a pain in the butt. So I didn't want to make anybody feel bad because I couldn't eat, or I was going to eat. I mean, and let's be honest. I know every restaurant in Atchison. Being up there for 7 years as the tour guide at the Sally House, we know everything there is up there. I've been up there one time since we stopped doing tours.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, and we went to Willie's, and oh my gosh, the food is amazing.
Yep, but could you imagine the acid reflux I would have from that?
Oh yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah, we've eaten at Willie's quite a few times, and it's good food. And usually really good service, and but don't ever eat at Taco John's before an investigation. Just a heads up.
I usually order my meal, and then I have them put it in a to-go box, and I eat it on the way home from the investigations. And that I've always been that way. The same thing when I was touring and stuff like that. I would go ahead and I'd have catering go ahead and box everything up for me, and then once I got on the bus or back into the semi, I would just eat then, because I get really nervous and edgy, and if I eat it just messes with me, and it's like I just can't do
There's
it.
a lot of people like that. So I did have a question for you in one of
Sure.
the chats so that we can at least get some of those out of the way.
Mhm.
This is from Sherry. She asks, what are the devices that you feel you get the best results from?
Devices wise, I put no credence in any devices. Anything that is being used in the paranormal field, especially apps. Apps are easily manipulated, and we've torn those apart coding wise, and we see that they're based off some of the things that we actually use in the lighting field in the entertainment industry. So I basically use a really good solid microphone, and there's several product lines that I love to use. I'm becoming a really big fan of JTS microphones. Of course, my recording stuff, Shure, Sennheiser, AKG Audix, Superlux microphones, which their U.S. headquarters is right here in Kansas City.
Oh, wow.
I love their microphones for wired microphones, and I'll utilize those. And then if it comes down to wireless, the new JTS systems have been amazing. I can put a belt pack and a head-worn microphone on somebody, and they can walk. Depending on if I put extra antennas out, they can walk up to 1,000 feet away from the center, and as long as they're picked up in that antenna, I can record it. But I use mostly condenser microphones, which have a lot larger gain. I can really fine tune those for a room, and so that's pretty much it in the audio wise. And then I use, for my recording and stuff, I use either a Roland audio console or Allen and Heath, and Yamaha are my favorites.
Okay. Well, so when you go to an investigation, how much, it sounds to me like you need to take a van or a truck with you.
I could show up in a 20, or 53-foot long semi-trailer, full of equipment. But I'm learning to condense down. I can pack up, say, 140 microphones in one small case, an audio mixer in a small case, and a digital snake box, which the microphones all plug into, and I can set out remotely. I can pack all that stuff into the back of my car and be ready to go. The thing that takes up the most room is the microphone stands, because they're just bulky, and cables, a bunch of cables. So I can pretty much, I'm easy to pack with now.
Good. You've learned how to pack light. Yes.
Oh yeah. 30 years of playing Tetris in semi-trucks. I can pack anything. So.
Oh yeah. I'm one of those people. I can go to Vegas with one suitcase, and for a woman that's unusual. So, I've got packing light down. So I used to have to go on business trips, and they go, you can't check your bag.
Yeah.
So I would have all my clothes in my computer bag with my computer. So, and basically I just packed everything that was the same and just just mixed and matched along the way, so that I'm done. So that was me. I learned. And so
see, when I was on tour, it was basically throw everything into a small duffel bag, and away you go. You jumped on the bus, and you're out for 5 or 6 weeks at a time.
You knew every hotel that had a good wash machine.
Actually, and that was the great thing about being on tours. You get to the venue and they have a runner, and you hand them your laundry bag, and then they go and they wash it for you and bring it back. It was always good.
Oh, well, see, I wouldn't know that.
Yeah, I was spoiled rotten when I was touring all the time.
Oh, I mean, I know Kat does a lot of things with music, and has been security for certain things. So she'll have she'll know some things about what you're talking about because she's been involved with all those. Me, on the other hand, I've been to 3 concerts. That's it. So I don't like the crowds. I mean, for being an extrovert, being from Baltimore, you would think, oh, she's probably great. No. I don't want to be in the crowds with people. I'm not right. It's 5 concerts. Sorry.
Okay. Funny story. When I got into this business, working with national regional artists, I went to work for a company called United Entertainment, and they told me that I was going to be placed at a place called Guitars and Cadillacs in Westport. And at the time, I didn't know that was a country bar. And they said, well, your first show is going to be for this artist that's coming in. You're going to be mixing monitors for him. And I said, okay. And they said his name was Garth Brooks. And I was like, who the heck is this guy? And I show up my very first day and to mix. And all of a sudden, at the time I had the piercings all over my face and, body, and I'm wearing combat boots and shorts and everything, and all of a sudden, this guy walks in and he's wearing, Wrangler jeans and a brush popper shirt and a hat. I was like, oh my God, Toto, I'm not in Kansas anymore. Oh. And I said, what kind of bar is this? And they're like, well, you don't know about Guitars and Cadillacs? It's a country bar. I was like, oh my God. Well, that was the beginning of my career. I worked with over 400 national artists as they were up and coming. So I got to see Trisha Yearwood. I got to work with her. I got to work with Tracy Lawrence, who was a client of mine. Same thing with Mark Chestnut. And it just kind of blew up from that one little club.
Huh. And that was back in 1989.
Yes.
So I found it online. I'm not that smart. I mean, I'm not that good, but I do follow Garth Brooks. I like him. I respect him. I think he's a good guy. I like Trisha Yearwood. My daughters are really into country music. I know enough about it to be completely and utterly dangerous. So my mom raised us on bluegrass. So nice. I know quite a bit about that as well. And then my husband's into metal. So I listen to a little bit of everything. I mean, when people go, what kind of music do you like? Oh, I like ELO. I hate Tom Petty. I like Eddie Money, but I can't stand Pink Floyd. I know. And then I can tell you, my daughters will tell me stuff about country music singers, and I'm like, yeah, I remember when this. And I mean, I saw, who was it? Shoot. Oh, well, I have a country music singer in my family, Hank Thompson, back in the 50s. He's one of my uncles. And so I've been around enough stuff to know. And then my cousin, Dan Serber, he creates electric banjos for Buck Trent. And they were on, some of his things were actually on Hee Haw.
Nice.
And so he actually built guitars for some of the most famous people in the business. And I'm talking Carl Perkins. I mean, he actually picked with Carl Perkins. Nice. When he was building his guitar. So as far as that goes, I can tell you something about almost everybody. And only because of stuff that I know from family has shared it and pay attention. But I can tell you, I've probably forgotten more than I can remember at this point. But yeah, you've led a really interesting life. So when it comes to the stuff in the background that we're talking about that's now become part of your well, I would say probably a passion for you now, is going through all this audio for your team and finding out what you're getting. So have you gotten a lot of EVPs in your equipment that you can't say, or somebody talking or whispering in the background, or somebody in another room?
Well, it's weird. I go through this audio, and I'll find select pieces of audio that I think may be beneficial, and I will take that section completely out and save it over into another recording. Then I'll send that out to whoever I happen to be recording for, and I will let them make that determination, because I'm a huge skeptic. Mm-hmm. But also I have an ear to, if I hear something in the background or I can attribute it to something, I make sure I point that out before I send them the recording. And I just let them know that, hey, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a fan in the background, or a motor turning in the background. I can't, I don't think it's valid evidence, but you can make that determination on your own.
Right.
I'll listen to the hours of audio and pick stuff up, but I leave it strictly to the client.
Well, you know what? We're coming up on our next break, so I want you to think about this for when we come back. Is there an automated way to go through hours and hours of audio to find a possible EVP? So everybody, we'll find out the answer to that when we come back from this break. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama, and I guarantee Bart's going to have some gem for you to take away from all this tonight. So come on back.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experienced Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. My guest tonight is Bart Towler. And so, Bart, is there an automated way to possibly pick out where you might have an anomaly in your data to say, hey, look here?
Yeah. It's kind of funny because what I'll do is when I actually go into review, I'll open it up in, say, Pro Tools, HD, Reaper. It just depends on what I feel like using that day, or even Audacity. And you can actually look at the audio spectrum that you've recorded. And what I do is I zoom in on that as much as possible. I take it all the way to its limit. And then I'll sit there and I'll just run my mouse across, and I'll find little anomalies, and I'll go in and I'll listen to that section. That helps me go through a lot of stuff, and especially if it's a long investigation. And so I'll do it that way, and then I'll go back and I'll listen to the whole thing. And I'll just sit there and, I'll grab, a glass of, iced tea or something like that, and I'll listen to the audio. And if I hear something, I'll zoom in on it, isolate it, and listen to it over and over again, and clean it up with the analog equalizer and stuff like that. And then I'll cut that certain clip and save it too. But that's the process I use, and I can usually knock that stuff out, in a few hours, really. So it's not as entailed as everybody else thinks it is. It's just I'm used to doing it, and I know those little tips and tricks on how to get through audio pretty quick.
Yeah, I'm big in. I do a lot of automation. In fact, while we're sitting here, I have automation running on my computer on the other side of the room for work, because that's what I do. I automate things. So it's up to me to ask those kinds of questions, because my whole job is faster, easier, better. It may not be faster, easier, better for me, but it's faster, easier, better for somebody. Yeah. So that's why I asked the automation question, because, it's not AI, even though automation and AI go hand in hand, but they're not the same. So I did have a question from Wendy for you.
Okay. Yes,
she
I'm
wants
single.
to know. Okay. Well, I don't think she is.
Oh. Well.
But she goes, what are your thoughts on the blue snowball microphones?
I'm sorry?
She asked, what is your thoughts on the blue snowball microphones?
Blue actually makes some really good recording studio microphones. I have not been very happy with any of their USB stuff. The snowball microphones, looking at the specs on those, they have pretty much the same specs as just about any other, microphone, between, 20 to 22,000 hertz of sensitivity, and they're okay for what you pay for them. I'm more into. I go into, if it were a microphone from Blue, I would go into more of their boutique stuff. Their really high-end equipment. Their shotgun microphones are amazing. And you're looking at upwards of starting price on those about $500. But they're a great company. Don't get me wrong. I'm just not a fan of their lower budget stuff. So, if anything, I'm gonna go to when it comes to stuff like that. On a USB microphone, I'm going to go into the Shure line, because they have a proven track record, because they use the same components in their microphones that they use for hooking up to a computer that they would on a live situation.
Well, I guess that's a good answer. You gave her the answer to her question and said, "Hey, this one might be better." So if she wants to discuss microphones too, she can actually shoot me questions personally, and I'd be more than happy to answer those to her. Same thing as anybody else too. So. Yeah, she's here in the Kansas City area.
Oh, good.
So the last time I saw her, she came to the Sally House, but We did meet her personally at the Sugar Creek Kansas City Paranormal Conference. So,
and then also too, if she wants to try out a certain microphone, if I have it in my inventory, we do. My company actually has a pretty extensive rental selection, and microphones. You can rent a microphone for anywhere from $5 to $15 a day. And we also have weekend rates too, where it's like $20 you can rent a microphone.
Yeah, and if you're going to test it, that's a good way to test it. You're not out a whole lot of money. You're out a little bit of driving time, and that's about it.
Mm-hmm. And 9 times out of 10, I'll bring it to you if you're in the Kansas City area. So, and show you how it works. So
at least, well, as long as you're not downtown where it's down to one lane, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I just heard that's going on down there. Getting on 35 now is sucky. My husband said. So
yes,
I don't deal with traffic. I work from home all day, so the biggest traffic I have is getting around the cats to get to the bathroom or the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
So, we have another question for you, and let me see. My April, she asks, what was your longest, strangest, or clearest EVP, or all three?
Well, the weirdest ones I've had, and this was my friend Randy Reynolds. He actually came out to the mausoleum. I was testing out camera systems for the mausoleum, and him and his buddy Lyle came out to do some stuff. And he said, "Well, can we investigate while we're here?" I was like, "Sure, why not?" And so I was watching Randy on the camera, and he kept asking the question, "Do you want us to leave?" He was on the second floor of the mausoleum, which used to be an old museum back in the 30s. And so after they were finished, I was packing up and stuff, and Randy come over and he's like, "Bart, you have got to hear this." And he was reviewing his stuff in his car, and he has a really nice, clear audio system in his vehicle, and you can hear him asking the questions, "Hey, do you want us to leave? Do you want us to leave?" And also you hear, "You need to leave. Where's Bart?" And I was like, and it was in a female voice. So, and there were no females there. Okay. So me being the skeptic that I am, when I heard that, I got to thinking I need to get home really quick and check my shorts. And so it was about 2 weeks later, we had some airmen come out from Whiteman Air Force Base. Mm-hmm. They had a paranormal group out there. Well, Randy came out to kind of show these guys the ropes since they were a new team. And once again, it was towards the end of the night, and all the guys were sitting up on the second floor. And I had actually come up the back stairs and was tearing down cameras and stuff like that. And Randy said, "Hey, who's that over there?" And he asked it like 2 or 3 times. So we get everything all cleaned up. Randy's sitting in the vehicle again, and he plays that back, and he calls me up. He calls me over. He goes, "Hey, listen to this one." And you hear him saying, "Hey, who's that over there?" And you hear, "Oh, that's Bart." And I was like, the same female voice. And I know for a fact there was no female there. I was standing there listening to him ask all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm just kind of starting to believe this thing. And then I've had different little things that have happened to me at the mausoleum. That Mr. Miller was a Baptist preacher, and so when you walk into the backside of the mausoleum, you walk into a section where you have to step down to go into the crypt area, and it's basically you have to bow your head, and they say that's for respect towards the dead when you walk into that room. Well, I'll be out on the property doing some work or something like that, and I'll drop the F-bomb, or I go into a cussing tirade, and then I have to go in and grab something out of the mausoleum. And every time I have one of those incidents, I end up hitting my head on that one section as I go into the mausoleum. And everybody says, well, that's, Mr. Miller's way of telling you, you screwed up. And and then, there was an incident at the Hall of Waters up in Excelsior Springs. Was in with the group, and I was up and recording the whole session. All of a sudden, I just got this feeling of I was just mad, and it took me a while. I ended up having to walk away from the building, and I got out maybe 600-700 foot away from the building, and I was talking to Carrie because she couldn't make it that night with me. I was talking to her, and I finally got that feeling of, okay, well, I'm not part of my friends, but I was pissed off. I said I got rid of that, and I went back into the to the building after I was calmed down, and it wasn't 2 or 3 seconds later I was back feeling that again. It's like, man, I just need to get all my gear and just get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that it's been few and far between. I don't get the willies very much, but I grew up in Detroit, so I'm kind of
immune.
Other things don't bother me.
Well, yeah, I can see what I mean. And a lot of, like me, growing up in Baltimore, it takes a lot to scare me.
Yeah.
I was mugged when I was 9. It's like there's a lot of things you can't do to scare me. But tell me my kids are sick and I'm sick to my stomach and worried to death. But when it comes to the paranormal, I've been in rooms with spiders as big as my head. I'm terrified of spiders in my normal everyday life, but as a paranormal investigator, I'm not, which is weird. In the last 5 years, I've probably gotten rid of more spiders in my house than I've ever had. But of course, I never saw spiders like we have out here. I've never seen wolf spiders until we moved to Kansas.
Yeah. Now, see, with the paranormal field, it's a great way for us to really beta test equipment. New microphones, stuff like that. That's one thing I do like about this is it gives me the chance to not only meet new people, but I can say, hey, this microphone's getting ready to come out. Can we send you with it, let you try it out, or this audio mixer's coming out. Can we send this with you, or can I come out with you and do some testing on it? And then on top of that, meeting the groups, they'll have pieces of equipment. It's like, ooh, they'll leave it sitting there, and I've been known to take people's equipment apart,
right?
Out on investigations, just so I can look inside of it. I'll take the cover back off and put it back together after I'm done.
Actually, we're going to talk about that after the top of the hour break, because, like I said, I heard you in an interview talking about the Ovilus, and so I want to make sure that we talk about that, because you took care of a lot of my thoughts on that, and the reason why I believe what I believed was true.
Okay.
So, I have a lot of questions for you. Like, one of them would be the Hall of Waters. Why would a water plant be haunted?
Okay. I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah, because we have been asked to come up to the Hall of Waters many times before it was on the big tour that it's on now, with all these people going up there. So this was probably 8 years ago, and it's like it's a water plant. Why? I always wonder why. Is it legend or is it fact? Give me some facts and we'll go from there. But I'm more of a fact person. I want facts.
Exactly.
And I understand about the willies. I don't really get them. If I do, then we know something's weird going on.
Definitely.
So, but everybody, this is our top of the hour break. You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. Enjoy the news. As Kat always says, maybe there'll be some good news today. Let's hope. See you in a few.
Support for this NPR podcast and the following message come from BetterHelp, online counseling by licensed professional counselors specializing in isolation, depression, stress, and anxiety. Visit BetterHelp.com/news to learn more and get 10% off your first month.
Live from NPR News, I'm Jack Speer. The White House is defending President Donald Trump's use of what amounted to a xenophobic slur to describe the coronavirus at a rally this past weekend. NPR's Aisha Roscoe reports Trump is also facing criticism for suggesting that testing for the virus should be slowed down.
White House Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany says President Trump was simply linking the coronavirus to the country where it was first detected when he pointedly used the phrase Kung flu.
What the president does do is point to the fact that the origin of the virus is China. It's a fair thing to point out as China tries to ridiculously rewrite history.
McEnany also argued that Trump was joking about the media when he said he directed his administration to slow down testing for the coronavirus. President Trump has repeatedly noted that more testing leads to uncovering more cases. Health experts have said that increased testing alone cannot explain the rise in cases across the country. Aisha Roscoe, NPR News.
With Washington, D.C. entering Phase 2 of coronavirus reopening today, visitors entering the White House complex will no longer have to have their temperatures checked. However, some other coronavirus precautions will remain in place, including checking temperatures of those coming near the president, along with coronavirus testing in those instances. The White House says it is scaling back a bit because of changes being made by Washington, D.C. Of the roughly 9 million coronavirus cases reported around the world, 1 million were reported in just the last week. The World Health Organization says a recent rise in cases as the pandemic takes hold in some densely populated areas may be to blame. NPR's Ping Wong reports.
Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, WHO's Director General, says the coronavirus just keeps spreading.
It seems that almost every day we reach a new and grim record. Yesterday, more than 183,000 new cases of COVID were reported to WHO, easily the most in a single day so far.
The WHO attributes the recent sharp increase to the coronavirus pandemics hitting highly populated countries in Latin America, South Asia, the Middle East, and Africa, all at about the same time. Ping Huang, NPR News.
Sales of existing homes fell sharply last month. It's the third straight monthly decline in sales, indicating further evidence of the effect of the coronavirus pandemic on the broader economy. The National Association of Realtors, the industry's main trade group, says sales of existing homes dropped 9.7% in May. It's the slowest pace of buying since a home buying tax credit expired in October of 2010. Sales fell in all parts of the country, with the biggest drop in the Northeast. Stocks gained ground today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average ending the session up 153 points at 26,024. The Nasdaq closed at a new record high today, up 110 points. You're listening to NPR. Union employees at the Navy's largest shipbuilder are off the job today. Picket lines forming early today in the first strike by production workers at Maine's Bath Iron Works in 2 decades. More than 4,000 employees are on strike with a labor dispute focusing on subcontracting work rules and seniority over wages and benefits. Bath has already fallen 6 months behind schedule on construction, partly due to the coronavirus pandemic. The city of Chicago is reeling after more than 100 people were shot over the weekend there. As Patrick Smith of member station WBEZ reports, 13 people were killed by the weekend gunfire.
5 of the people killed this weekend were under the age of 18. The victims include a 3-year-old boy shot while riding in the car with his father and a 13-year-old girl killed inside her own home by a stray bullet. Chicago Police Superintendent David Brown addressed the violence in a press conference.
I believe in Chicago. And I believe we can achieve above and beyond where we currently stand.
Brown took over as Chicago's top cop 2 months ago and set a goal of fewer than 300 murders for the year. The city has already topped that number. For NPR News, I'm Patrick Smith in Chicago.
Yet another private company has reached a deal with NASA to help boost commercial human space flight, including to the International Space Station. Virgin Galactic announcing today it hopes to eventually take passengers there. The space station is in low Earth orbit. SpaceX became the first private company to launch astronauts into orbit last month, ushering in a new era for space travel. I'm Jack Speer, NPR News.
Welcome back to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 5 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Bart Towler. We have been having a very good discussion about all things not really paranormal related, but related to the paranormal. So, so one of the questions that I had for you is the Ovilus. Should I buy an Ovilus?
Oh my gosh. This could be a whole show.
I know.
I am going to say no, don't buy one. I actually had one sitting in my office that somebody had left, and it sat there for about a year. And me being me, I finally took it apart and got to looking at the inside of it and noticed that the integrated circuit that was in there, the chip, was the same chip that a lot of lighting, concert lighting manufacturers use as the control system for automated fixtures. So basically that chip is programmed to tell where that light is supposed to move to, what color it's supposed to be, what design pattern is supposed to come out to be shown on stage. And I got curious, and I'm like, this thing can't be on the same programming language that we use in the lighting industry, which is digital multiplexing, or DMX 512. And so we hooked it up, and sure enough, it is the same programming language that we use to tell the lights to, like I said, do certain functions. It was just kind of switched a bit. So, each one of those little lines of language would trigger a word in the library that was stored into the library. And I'm going to give you a brief description of what digital multiplexing is. In the lighting world, you have what they call a universe. It is a mixture of, if you notice on the Ovilus, it has, you have a choice of either 512 words, or they have one that has, 1,024 words. Each one of those 512 words is what we call, once again, a universe. It's basically 500 channels that you have to control lighting fixtures. Each line or each channel has a function. So once again, that 512 channels, each one of those will trigger a pre-programmed word. And then you can say, let's say you hit a trigger word, okay? It could set off, on a different channel, say channel 89. It could set off a series of words that were pre-programmed in there to say something. It would just randomly pick those. Well, actually, not random. It's kind of how do I explain this? If you let's say you say a word so many times, it will trigger a certain word in it, stuff like that. So what I did was I sent the chip and the device to several of my peers in the lighting world, and we all came to the conclusion that yes, this is all written on this programming language. Instead of it giving a function, it's just triggering a word. So we basically called Ovilus out on this one, and it has an internal microphone, so we're like, okay, well, yeah, this trigger words is setting it off and stuff. We called them out on this, and next thing I know, I'm getting blocked on Facebook under my pseudonyms, and I was getting blocked on like Twitter, stuff like that, just for calling them out. And it's like, and we were letting people know this thing is a joke. It literally has about $10 worth of parts inside of it. Anyone that has any electronics knowledge and has the actual schematic for this can make their own. And it's like, folks, save yourself some money. If you're gonna really do this, you want video, and you want real time audio. That's like some, we've also seen some of the boxes where they have, and this is the really kicker, and I forget what they call these things. They make them look like little antique radios, and you think you're hearing ghostly voices and stuff like that.
Ghost box.
Yeah, ghost box, I guess. And I'm sitting here, I'm going, okay, well, that's like a $15 guitar pedal that's on there. That's a reverb pedal or a delay pedal, and stuff like this. I was like, oh my God, how are people buying into this?
Yeah, and they're spending like $700 for these things.
Oh yeah,
and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it really kills me, I guess it's oh God, the Mel meter has so you can check the temperature and all that stuff in the room and stuff like that, and I was like, and they're charging an outrageous price for it.
$99, anywhere from $89 to $120, depending upon where you go.
Yep. So what you can do is you can go to Home Depot, spend excuse me, Marlboro virus. So you can go to Home Depot and buy a Klein multimeter, and it has everything that the Mel meter does, but it's actually accurate and calibrated. And if it happens to get out of calibration, you can send it to Klein. They'll recalibrate it for you for free or send you a new one. And it's just amazing. Same thing with the little one that has the little lights that jump back and forth. The one that I call the dog whistle. It's in a gray box. Oh God, what is that thing called?
Is this the EDI meter?
The EMF detector.
Oh, EMF detector, yeah.
Yeah, so
it's a multimeter as well.
Yep. So it's like, and you shake the thing and the lights start going off.
Oh yeah.
So I tell everybody, go get you a Klein tester pen. Go spend $19, put one in your pocket, and turn the thing on. And if it starts blinking up red, there's electromagnetic field in the room somewhere.
Oh yeah.
And so we that's one of the things that we tell people to go get. I carry that stuff on a daily basis, so
Well, you on the other hand, you need a multimeter to fix a lot of the stuff that you're using. Ron used to use an oscilloscope for everything, and I really wish that we had that oscilloscope now to see how it would interact with different things.
Oh yeah.
Because he's got an electronics degree, and then he's also got a telecommunications degree, and then you add in me with my computer. Shoot, I can't even remember what my degree is, and probably because it's mostly in BS. But computer information technology is what mine is in, and which is very ambiguous when you think about it, because what I do has nothing to do with my degree. It might as well be in horticulture, which is again BS. And
one of the things that we do when I go out to invest, to a lot of these groups will call me out to come out and hire me to come out and do investigations with them. The first thing I do is I actually check. I use several programs that are free. I'll go and check what TV stations and radio station antennas are within 30, 40 mile area of me. And do frequency scans to find out if there's any errant radio frequencies that are going on. Pinpoint cell towers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I have an RF meter just for that.
Yep, I use several of them, and then when I do radio frequency coordination for conventions and concert tours, I have to scan for that stuff every time because I got to go reprogram all my wireless units or my in-ear monitor systems. And the most I've ever done at any one given time was I had to coordinate over 700 radio frequencies for an event, and that took me almost a week of programming to get that done. And then 20 minutes before showtime, we were supposed to open doors. Everything went down on us, and so I had to get everything back up. And luckily, everything, when we program it, it saves it. But yeah, you can use programs like Shure Frequency Finder, and that's SHURE.
Mm-hmm.
You can go in there. You can use any type of. You pick any model, and it will still give you the radio towers, in your area. You just put in the zip code that you're doing, and it will give you not only the frequency, but it'll also give you the station identifier, stuff like that, so you know what you're getting into where you're at. I was able to look up. I did an investigation. It was supposed to be out in the middle of nowhere, and we were like a half mile outside of town, and found out that there was a Hardee's there, and their frequency was actually coming across very strong.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to go in and change our two-way radio so we wouldn't interfere with them, and we weren't getting any crosstalk from them. And all the wireless belt packs that we put on the investigators, changed those frequencies so we wouldn't interfere with them and they wouldn't interfere with us.
Oh, we've had that kind of stuff happen. We were at a hotel in Vegas, and when I say hotel, let's go with cheap dive, crappy place, called the Galaxy Motel. Okay, we stayed there because it was $39 a night, didn't have a resort fee, and we needed multiple rooms. Okay, this place was so bad that the wind would blow open your door if you didn't keep it latched tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I had walkie-talkies. Paranormal investigators, of course we have walkie-talkies. So I gave one to the kids in the room. Well, Leah and her boyfriend gave one to them, and we had one, and said, all you gotta do is hold down the button. You don't even have to say anything, and it'll go off. Well, apparently we were picking up the security guy all night long because we were on the same frequency as whatever their walkie-talkies were on. So every time, I did not sleep all night because I kept being woke up by.
Yep.
See, would have been handy to know. But in Vegas, 700 would probably be a low number for Vegas.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I found that out the hard way. So when we got to the better hotel, we didn't have to worry about that as much. But
see, and our two-way radios, I can I can change the frequencies on those, and stay away from everybody. Well, one of my favorite things to do is I'll look up and see what the local restaurants are, what their headsets are running on, and I'll program those in so I can hear the communication from drive-through inside and from the cashier out to the customer. And so I can sit there and I can talk over it. I can hear the order like, hey, I want a Big Mac, and a large fry. And it's like, you really need Jenny Craig.
Yeah.
I'm ornery like that. I will mess with people any way I possibly can, and that's one of my favorite things to do. I still do it. I still do it here at my local one, and I have to be careful because I'm pretty well known around town, so they know my voice when I do that. So I kind of have to disguise it every once in a while. But yeah, it's fun to do.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you giving us the information on the Ovilus, because I always suspected that there was a microphone in there. I did not realize all the other stuff, but I figured there was a microphone listening, and that's the reason why we always got answers that related to the questions we were asking.
Exactly. And
so the question is would it spit out words if you're not saying anything?
Occasionally it will. It's one of them things where, especially in automated lighting, a lot of times if they're sitting for a while, they'll go into like a self-test mode, and then it'll send out random stuff. Like it'll blink. It will blink the light on. It'll open the iris on the light, so you see almost like a quick strobe. Then it shuts itself back down. So that's probably what the Ovilus is doing too.
Well, you know what? We got to go to our break.
Okay.
Everyone, you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Bart Towler in just a few minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Several U.S. presidents are on record talking about the UFO mystery.
Yeah, Presidents Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan both had UFO sightings of their own, but the current presidential campaign might be the first in which UFO disclosure has been championed by a major party candidate.
DIA, CIA, it moves around, is operating a program to train psychic spies to spy and use their powers against Russia. John Ronson writes about this in The Men Who Stare at Goats.
The first known sighting of a ghost took place right after Abraham Lincoln was assassinated in the late 1860s during the administration of Ulysses Grant.
Project Paperclip, Clinton releases it all in 1998.
Possibly the unequal cooling of its surface.
I say, do you still think it's a meteor, Professor?
I don't know what to think. The metal casing is definitely extraterrestrial.
It's a place where UFO hunters and scientists gather to examine paranormal activity in the region.
Some of the documents, this is bringing Nazi scientists into the United States to work here. So we fought against the Nazis, and it's not, this again is not a revelation. As early as 1947, 1946, we knew some of this, right?
On the paranormal, will we see U.S. President Barack Obama's foreign policy go intergalactic in a quest for gold stolen by aliens? We'll tell you at least how the White House responded to claims the chief executive has been teleporting to Mars. So let's get to today's Capitol account.
UFOs, hauntings, psychic abilities, conspiracy, ESP, cryptozoology. There are many things that remain unexplained in the inexplicable world around us, and we're talking about them here, looking for answers on WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama. The truth is out there.
Thank you for listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. The time is 23 minutes after the hour.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and my guest tonight is Bart Towler. And we have been talking about a few things, and hopefully we didn't stir up a bee's hive with anyone, but or maybe hopefully we did. Maybe it'll make people start thinking a little bit more about the equipment that they're using and the, well, I was going to say the reasoning behind it, but no, the way that it's built and what's hidden in there that you can't see. It's kind of like when I tell you guys about the triangulation and some of the apps and stuff that are out there that people use on their phones. You know, that sometimes it pulls in random words from Google based on your location and based on, you know, different information that's built into the code. And that's kind of the same thing that you're telling them is, hey, it's the code that's running all this. You know, you may not think that there's a computer chip in there, but there could be.
Oh yeah. Most of that stuff, there is an IC chip in there. Same thing with, these apps. Turn your phone into, a heat, so you can see almost like a FLIR camera. There is no way your camera, is going to be able to be turned into an actual FLIR camera unless you have an external lens that actually does that for you. It just amazes me that, people are able to pull this off and people eat it up the way they do.
Well, nobody wants to spend $1,400 on a FLIR camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Or they don't if you're smart, you find a friend in the fire department.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. Or even a mechanic who's looking for heat where there's not supposed to be, or something. There is a way, that is out there. I know I would not spend, some flares you can get them used for $700, new ones $1,400. Then you got to keep them calibrated, and it's not one of those things that you want to be carrying around with you randomly.
And that's kind of where I fall into a lot of this stuff. Is I'm a rental house, so if they need a specific piece of equipment like a camera or a certain microphone or an audio mixer or something like that, or even replacement cables, we sell a lot of this stuff, but we also rent it. Like if they need two-way radios for an investigation, they can call me up and say, hey, I need 6 radios. Can you help me out? It's like, yeah, 6 radios with chargers, extra batteries, all the lapel mics, $35 for the whole weekend.
Wow.
And it's because we charge a percentage of whatever the actual price is, and that's how we base our pricing. But we also try and go lower than a lot of our other production companies too. So that gives them a chance. They can try out equipment like we were talking about earlier. They can try out new stuff, and if we don't have it, we have access to it. It's a matter of just calling up a product rep and saying, hey, I want to test this piece of equipment out. How soon can you get it to me? And they'll let me have it for a month.
Well, that's amazing. So we've been talking about equipment and EVPs and audios, all these different things that are involved in paranormal investigations. And you've talked about the McIntyre Villa, someplace I've been. Used to give the outside tour, saying about Goldie, for the Atchison Chamber of Commerce. So there's one thing that been there, done that. Some of the other places we were talking about you talked about the Hall of Waters earlier, and for people who don't know, it's a water treatment plant, isn't it? Or was?
Actually, what the Hall of Waters was there were 11 springs, natural springs up in they're in Excelsior Springs, and they all ran to the plant. And each one of those springs actually had different minerals. So one was like, high in iron. Another one was high in, a certain, calcium or something like that. And it used to be, they had the world's largest water bar. So you could come in, you could also go swimming, you could get spa treatments. You pick out what, it's kind of cool because they got these showers in there, and you stand in the shower, you pick out which mineral water you want to be hosed down with. And it's like a fire hose, somebody will stand out there and hose you down with this water. And it's really weird. And then Harry Truman had went up there and used the polio pool, had certain water treatments put in there, and then he sat in the pool, and I guess it helped with his polio and stuff like that. And then Al Capone had visited there, a lot of famous people, and they bottled all this water, these different types of water, and they sent it worldwide. And then I think it was 93 when we had all the flooding.
Yeah, 93 and then 95.
Yep, that contaminated all those springs coming into the Hall of Waters. So they're no longer really viable from my understanding. A gentleman up there by the name of TR.
I know him.
Yep, TR, he knows all that history of that building.
Yeah, he's part of Paranormal Task Force. Met him at the Pythian Castle down in Springfield, Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, I could see where the water would be contaminated because we had a lot of sewage in the water at that time from the Missouri backing up, and not to mention We did have a few cemeteries that got uprooted during that, from what I recall. And the Mississippi side was much worse, but that didn't affect the Hall of Waters. So why would the Hall of Waters be haunted?
Well, you figure because my understanding was there's actually a lot of Native Americans that lived up in that area back in the day. A lot of shady characters actually came into that building, like I said, Al Capone, other mobsters, stuff like that. And just people in general coming into the building. That's a good possibility. The water coming in, my understanding is they say that, water is, well, we all know water is a great conductor for electricity.
Right. And when you add iron in the water, or some of these minerals, you're going to have more.
Yeah. So, and this is kind of what they're basing it on. And it is a beautiful, beautiful building, and it's sad that, that they can't get federal funding to keep it up. They're having to rely on private donations and stuff like that. And there was a paranormal group that my company actually was going to sponsor, or we were sponsoring them for a little bit, but they kind of went rogue, and it was something that we didn't want to be associated with as a company. So we pulled sponsorship and pulled out of the Hall of Waters. I love TR to death, and if he were to give me a call and say, "Hey, I need you," I'd be up there in a heartbeat. And then I've been in other buildings. I was the house production manager for the Uptown Theater. Right after
haunted.
It's kind of freaky there.
It is, and I know that it's haunted, and I don't know why I know that, but maybe from when I lived near Westport. I don't know.
And then I was also in on. We went into the Union Station when they were just getting ready to start the renovation, and we went in and got a bunch of lot of that stuff out of there, and to help decommission it and get it ready for the new restoration project. And then same thing with the Liberty Memorial. In what was it, 93, I think it was, when they shut down. We did the last Spirit Festival there, and we snuck up to the very top, me and a buddy of mine, and with our backpacks on, and threw the ropes over, tied off, and we rappelled down that. And that was our big fun thing. That was like 22 stories we dropped down. It was fun, right behind the stage. But I actually, when we did the reading light, when they got ready to open it back up, a company that I was subcontracting with called Excess Lighting, we did the lighting for the memorial. We put the red and white lights up there. And as we were setting everything up, I had to use the bathroom. So I went into one of the doors up on the main mezzanine level and was going to take the elevator down to where I needed to go. I ended up getting locked up in the museum for almost 3 hours waiting on security to come let me out. And that was pretty interesting and kind of unnerving being down there next to all those old artifacts and everything. And finally, after security showed up, I was never so glad to see anybody in my life. And so, pretty interesting places,
Yeah, like I said, I remember when Union Station reopened. We moved here, Ron from St. Louis and me from Baltimore in 1984, July 1984. So we've been here, coming up here on 36 years. And so we've seen a lot of changes in the area and been to a lot of places, but yet there's so many places we haven't been. And so when you were talking about the Hall of Waters, you can see can you see the elms from there?
I think if I remember correctly, if you hit it just right, you can see the sign For the Elms?
I could see that because it stands. I finally went to the Elms last year for the first time. Ron had to go up there no, we didn't go up there for work. We went up there for our wedding anniversary and stayed in Smithville. So we just kind of went the long way so that I can say I've at least been there. And it was nice. And we found some other places up there that look like, I don't know if they're haunted. I didn't get to go in to these other places, but I saw a lot of places up there that looked very interesting that were like Airbnbs and little hotels.
Yes.
And things like that. So there's a lot of things up there. And of course, when you're leaving there to go to Smithville, where do you go past? You go right past Kearney, where Jesse James' birthplace is. And so it's, you just going up in that area, you're going to get a lot of history, period.
Exactly.
But yeah, so we've talked about those places. And you said you were the events director at the Miller Mausoleum.
Yes.
Okay, and
I took that
and where
over
is that?
That is in Holden, Missouri, off of 131 highway. So if you're coming from Kansas City, you take 50 highway out like you're going to Warrensburg, and you get to the Pittsville turn right there at 5131. You come down about 8 miles. It's on the right-hand side. You cannot miss it. It looks like a giant castle. It has 3 floors. First floor will actually hold 48 bodies. All the bodies were removed about 3.5-4 years ago and moved over to the Holden Cemetery. They were cremated, put in urns, and then encapsulated into a headstone because Mr. Miller didn't want to be buried in the ground. And then the second floor was actually a museum. It has Civil War artifacts that were raided out of there between the 30s and the 40s. And then the third floor that has the cupola, you can go to the top of the cupola. They used to put a telescope up there so they could see into Kansas City and over to the county seat there in Warrensburg.
Okay.
And just look at the stars late at night. And that was actually that whole property was actually supposed to be set up as a community gathering area. And it has a lake on it. It's about 3 acres in length. We know of two deaths for sure on the property. One was actually back in the 30s. A young kid was on his way to his junior high school graduation, and he stopped off there to swim and drowned. And about 8 years ago, a gentleman was out there fishing, and his son used to rent the back part of the property, which is a whole different story. But his son was coming in to go check his cattle and just happened to look over and saw his dad fishing on the bank. And so he just let him be, went and checked on the cattle, went home. A couple days later, the son came back out to check on the cattle again, saw his dad sitting in the same place, and went over to check on him and found that his father had been dead. So they didn't know how long he'd actually been out there, but at least 3 days for sure. And then the building had been vandalized over the years. Kids used to go out there and party. There'd been water damage. And Carl Cranfield, the great-grandson, he took over, inherited the property. He got it all started to, get it fixed up. It is listed on the National Directory of Historical Places now.
Good.
And then we're looking at getting the walking trails opened back up, opening it up to fishing. We want to do concerts out there, craft shows, swap meets, you name it. We definitely want to do it out there.
So will these concerts be enough to wake the dead?
Well, since there's no bodies there, I don't know, but it might mess with the old people in town. They'll definitely be able to hear it. So it'll wake them up.
The thing is with Miller being a Baptist minister, let's be honest, music was not a Baptist minister's favorite thing. If it was a hymnal, or him, he was fine.
Yeah.
But regular music did not go over well. I have some Baptist ministers in my family. So, so needless to say, I know where I'm going in a handbasket, but that's okay.
I'll see you at breakfast.
Well, mine are actually Southern Baptist, so that's even worse. But it's what we're used to. We're used to hellfire and brimstone in our sermons, and we were used to hearing, you don't dance, you only sing this. And my grandmother was if you cussed, you were getting it. Didn't matter how old you were getting a hand across your mouth.
And I can see that with me bumping my head every time I go into the mausoleum. So I can see that. And so the mausoleum is not open. Is it open to the public, or is it only open by appointment? No, we do give tours. Here lately, Carl is actually back in town. He comes in during the summer. We've been working on different projects. Like last year, we put in 50 amp hookups for RVs or food trucks. And then water, so we could get water to the food trucks and stuff like that. And then we put in a bridge to go back to the little lake. There's, we got all that done. We put in a drainage system so water doesn't puddle up on the roof. It actually comes down to the building and then drains off into the creek back behind it. Worked on the parking lot. So we're doing a lot of, really cool stuff out there. It doesn't look like much, but because it takes so much time. But once you see the big picture, it's amazing what we've accomplished so far.
Yeah, well, I know I saw some before pictures before they redid all the concrete and
yes.
Pulling down the vines and doing the roof. It looks amazing from what it looked like, just 2 years ago, 2 or 3?
Yes. It has come a long way.
What? Go ahead.
But what we do is, you can come out, we'll do tours and stuff like that. At one time, we were going to go ahead and do paranormal investigations out there, but a certain group that we were considering having be out there kind of ruined it for everybody. So we do by invitation only. And if a paranormal group approaches us and stuff, we very thoroughly vet them before we'll even let them come on the property. And we're going to start that back up here real soon.
Well, getting out of quarantine is going to help everybody. But you know what? This is our last break, everyone. So if you have any questions or comments you want to make, this is the time to do that in either one of the chats, and I'll get those questions asked and answered. But you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll be back with Bart Towler in just a few minutes.
You're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk, only on Paranormal Experience Radio, broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Oh, come on. I'm Southern, but... Nope. That'll do. Hello. I am Kat Hobson, host of Paranormal Experience here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. I enjoy having guests from all areas of the paranormal, from ghosts to ufology to cryptids and beyond. You'll find some of the best researchers in their fields bringing you some great information. Join me on Wednesday nights from 8 to 10 p. Eastern here on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, The best in paranormal talk. Only on Paranormal Experienced Radio. Broadcasting live out of Birmingham, Alabama.
Welcome back to the Paranormal Pride. I'm your host, Denise Pridemore, and we've been having a great talk tonight with Bart Towler about different things. And so we were talking about the Miller Mausoleum, and that you guys are now will be doing events again. And do you have any idea what type of event you're going to be doing when you can get everything restarted?
Well, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start out with our swap and shop and farmers market, and we're going to be moving those to Sundays. And then we're going to open up the fishing by invitation only. People can contact us, through the Miller Mausoleum Facebook page, and we can, give schedule the days. I think we're going to do that on Saturdays and Sundays. And then next year, we're actually going to start issuing fishing permits like the city does. And then we're also looking at doing like some little bluegrass concerts. My company will provide the equipment and stuff like that. Just, people just show up and bring your instrument and have some fun. And then, wine tastings and stuff like we originally wanted to have planned this year are pretty much out the door with this COVID thing. Mm-hmm. Even though we myself and my mother actually had it back in December, so we survived it.
Well, we think that we had it in December as well, and so who knows? See, that's why. So we can go get together. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
And I think alcohol kills the virus. So I think we're safe. And if you're outside with alcohol, problem solved.
Ooh, that's an idea. Been a while.
And we have a friend in the distillery business that can bring us some heavier alcohol.
Yeah, I actually have a friend of mine that does moonshine down in Archie, Missouri, or something like that.
Oh yeah, it's just down the road here. Amsterdam, Missouri.
Actually, I think they're in Urich, Missouri, is where they're...
Oh, Urich? That's where we got our cat from.
Yeah, they've got a nice little place down there from what I hear. I haven't been down there yet, but I've tried some of their product, and yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, there's this one, we can just get it over here in Drexel. And, Drexel, Butler, Harrisonville. Mm-hmm. And it's that small of a distillery that it's only in 5 stores.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, it's just down here in Amsterdam, Missouri, just south of, just east of the Meredicine massacre site. It's bad when you can pinpoint where some place is based on a massacre site, or a graveyard, or hey, that's haunted.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our landmarks. That's how I landmark everything. Is hey, we went here and it's this far from there. So I can't wait to hear all that you guys are doing out there. I know that the owner said he was wanting to have the Miller Mausoleum meet up with the Warrensburg Spirit Trail and some other trail. I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. That it was just a little bit off of each one of these trails to try to hook these 2 trails up.
Yeah, the Katy Trail and stuff like that. That's been a hot button issue. And so we've kind of withdrawn back from that because there's a lot of politics involved in this thing.
Oh, I can see that.
And also at one time we were actually talking about donating all of the back half of the property for tiny homes for veterans. And they wanted to dictate how things were going to be run and stuff. and they didn't want people to use the lake, and we shut that down really quick.
Right.
So, but now we do let our local emergency management and fire department come out there to the facility, and they actually use the property to train on. They'll come out and and the stairs are so narrow to get around inside the building, but we watched them bring somebody from the third floor all the way down the stairs and all the way out the building, like they were rescuing somebody from a fire.
Mm-hmm.
And then we actually had the EMA come out there, and they were doing the civilian certifications for them with chainsaws. So we actually got a lot of the walking trails cleared off. And then they practiced disaster training out there. So it's been really good. We've had the Cub Scouts out there, and the Boy Scouts come out and camp for a few days at a time. Matter of fact, last week the Boy Scouts were out. They cleared off a lot of the brush along the lake for us, and that really helps.
Oh, it does, and it helps them earn their badges. So
yes, yeah.
That's really important too. And I was a Girl Scout, and earning those badges was a big deal.
Yeah.
So you get kicked out, and then you don't care.
Yeah, it's kind of like me and the Cub Scouts.
No, I got kicked out because they didn't let married women in. I was a very young bride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not good. But it was one of those weird things. But I was also a Girl Scout leader in Kansas City, Missouri, when we had two young daughters at the time that wanted to be in Girl Scouts, and I was a Girl Scout leader. And it was interesting to see all the things that had changed since the 19-something, before 1980. We'll just go with that, before 1980. And so it was just kind of neat to see all that. So, but their service projects are much more meaningful than cooking macaroni and cheese now.
Yeah.
So than it was back in the day when we were doing that type stuff. So are there going to so some of the fundraisers that you guys are planning for 2020 have been canceled?
Yes.
Do you think that you're going to try to revive those in 2021?
We are. Now, for me personally, I was planning on a great big festival season and convention season this year. And that basically got all shot to, everything was canceled. The only thing that might save us this year is if we actually get to do Irish Fest.
And that's what, in September?
Yes, and if we can do that, then we'll be saved. But we lost Boulevardia this year. We lost everything that was supposed to be going on out Arrowhead, Sprint Center, Uptown, stuff like that. I don't think the entertainment industry and the industry that I'm in is going to recover quick enough. If we'll be lucky if we actually get to go get shows next year also.
Well, I'll keep you guys in my thoughts. So hopefully, that we get to see some of these events. Kansas City Paranormal Conference was just canceled because it's actually in Kansas City, Missouri, and that's a whole different ball game than Overland Park.
Mm-hmm.
I got a feeling Kansas City will probably Kansas City, Missouri may open some of their pools, where Overland Park has already decided not to. It's strange that you've got, mere feet from one place to another, where you can swim on this side, but you can't swim on this side. It's weird how it is.
And honestly, when it comes to that, there's so much politics in this right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have opinions on that. And anybody that visits my personal Facebook page knows I'm very opinionated, and I don't hold anything back. But I don't foresee I think it's going to be selective opening at the mayor's whim.
Yeah. Well, it's nothing has changed since we moved here when we moved to Kansas City. Originally, we lived in Kansas. In '86, we moved to Kansas City, Missouri. So we were held at the whims of the mayor for 14 years.
Yeah.
So that's why we live in Lewisburg.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have as much politics down here. But I understand. I mean, we never saw snowplow 14 years.
Yeah.
But we still had to pay our taxes. So we know. So we're not going to get political on here.
Yes, definitely.
Because we know that's going to bring everybody down. So where can people find Bart Towler if they need to find you?
They can just find me on Facebook, or they can find me through the EGT Project. We're on Facebook, and then also Miller Mausoleum, or the PRI Facebook page also. I'm not that hard to find. Basically I tell everybody, it's like, I can't hide from anybody. The government can find me and everybody else can find me. So I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I'd like to thank you so much for being on, and I hope we get to meet up. Like I said, I know we've met, or we've at least seen each other.
Yes.
At least at the Kansas City Paranormal Conference. We have all the same personal friends, not just Facebook friends, but personal friends. So We've got to have met each other at some point. So if not, we will. And I look forward to seeing what is going on with PRI, with the stuff that you're now going to be helping them out with. I mean, I didn't know that you were part of them for about a year and a half. So I guess that last time we met up with them around Thanksgiving, you were already a member of the team.
Yeah, I was a silent member. So
I can't see that.
When it comes to stuff like that, I keep a lot of my personal interactions and stuff, private, but it's also out of respect for people that I deal with, because even on my Facebook page, you can see some of our mutual friends, but you can't see my whole client list or my friends list, because I have national artists that are hiding under different names and stuff on my deal.
Yep.
And so, that's just who I am and how things go.
I understand. My cousin, same way with his, electric banjos. Mm-hmm. So he's got friends that I know are famous, and I have no clue. I mean, I'm friends with one famous person, and actually I'm friends with a lot of famous people, but on Facebook, Porter Wagner's daughter.
Oh, Porter Wagner, yeah.
Yeah, she listens to my show, and she doesn't usually listen to it live because she's usually asleep, but she listens to my show and sends me feedback. So
fantastic.
So I always thought that was nice. She sent me messages. How do I listen? And so I send her stuff. So, it's always nice to have somebody out there that thinks that you're fun to listen to. And so that's what I try to do with this show. I try to make it fun, and I hope you had a good time, and I hope everybody learned something. I know I did. I know that when I investigate with you, I'd like to look at your setup of equipment, because I am amazed at the information that you've shared tonight. Now I'd like to see it in practice.
Exactly. And if anybody has questions, they can reach out to me on Facebook at any time. I pretty much never sleep, so I will answer you. So.
Well, if the dog's keeping you up, we can see why.
Yeah.
But everyone, thank you so much for listening. Join us next week when I have Jim Willis. He's an author out of Ohio. He was recommended to me by William Creechy that I had on a few weeks ago. Well, actually, I guess it's been a couple months ago now, from Ohio. So it's going to be a very interesting show. I think we're going to have a lot of fun, and maybe we'll all get a good laugh in the meantime. But join us on Wednesday for Kat's show, the Paranormal Experience with Kat Hobson at 7 p.m. Central. And listen to our network a lot. We got lots of good shows. Just come on and listen. So you're listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting out of Birmingham, Alabama. We'll see you next Monday at 7 p.m. Thank you.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, Birmingham, Alabama.